Okay, we're recording. Cool. So let me walk you through Peregrine Pickle. Let's take a look at this one. Let me pull up the share screen. Okay. So hopefully you are seeing 2017 AP Literature question, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. All right, so this is very typical of the kind of question that you may be answering on our test, okay? And it's funny because a lot of people are doing this one as well today. There's this website they're off and they're like, I'm doing that one too. I like that one. Okay, so let's read the prompt here. And the prompt will often give you some background as to when it was written, what was going on. So sometimes your inclination is to just skim that. Don't read it because it will help you figure out what's going on, because the prompt that you're going to read, you're going to have no idea where it came from. So this gives you some context. So in the passage below from The Adventures of Peregrine Pickle, so notice this was written in 1751. So we got to think language-wise back a couple of centuries. Mr. Pickle encounters Godfrey Gauntlet, the brother of his beloved Amelia. So here we got Amelia. She's got a brother named Godfrey, and Mr. Pickle is wanting to date her. Okay. Consider how the two men confront their own uncontrolled emotions and yet attempt to abide by their social norms. This reminds me a bit of Importance of Being Earnest. How you've got these very rigid ways of how you behave, but no, we've got these emotions that are going in here. Okay, so we've got some emotions and they have to abide by social norms. So, I mean, if you want, you can take little notes on this going, okay, this is what I would need to think about as I'm answering this. So in a well-developed essay, analyze how the author explores the complex interplay between emotions and social propriety, okay? So we've got these guys who are feeling certain ways, but they have to act very carefully in other ways, all right? So that's what the prompt is telling you. Is notice how they have to like really constrain themselves, thinking like an earnest. This one is nice, even though it was 2017, they give you some suggestions. You may wish to consider such literary techniques as dialogue, narrative pace, and tone. They're giving you a little hint there of what to look for. Now, some of the readers' websites that I've been reading said that just because they list these three does not mean that you have to answer all three. Okay. I always thought it was, but they're like, no, if the student really focuses on tone the entire time and writes all kinds of facets about tone, that's good enough for us. Okay. So, but a couple of you have already told me that you've been trying to know how to do this and you're like, I don't know what else to say. Well, here they give you three things that you could look at. So if you're struggling to know what to say and they happen to give you a list, you can follow that list. Okay. So keep these in your head and I'm going to read through this and try to help you discern who is Mr. Pickle and who is Godfrey Gauntlet. Okay. And gauntlet, I don't know if you know anything about battles or anything, but a gauntlet is like a glove. And if you are going to challenge someone, you kick off your glove and you smack them across the face and you throw down that gauntlet, and that means that you're challenging to a duel. So the names are also very telling us a lot about their characters. We've talked about characterization. So we've got somebody by the name of Peregrine Pickle. It sounds a little hoda. And then we've got Godfrey Gauntlet. Notice it's very kind of like comic books. We got the PP and the GG part of their names. But the names here are symbolic and meaningful, so that can help a little bit. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read through this passage with you, and so that we can try to figure out who is doing what. So Mr. Pickle, all right, so the one character is addressing the other. So we can automatically assume this is Godfrey Gauntlet. This is the brother of the girl addressing her boyfriend. Okay. Mr. Pickle, you have carried on a correspondence with my sister for some time, and I should be glad to know the nature of it. To this question, our lover replied, okay, I'm going to pause here for a minute. most things that we read, they give a different line for each person reading. This does not, which makes it a little bit more confusing and annoying, granted. So it would help if each of these was broken down as new speaker, new line, new speaker, new line. It doesn't do that. Okay. So you have to deal with this. Sorry. Okay. So here we have Gauntlet. To this question, our lover replied, "Sir, I should be glad to know what title you have to demand that satisfaction." Okay, so how dare you ask me this? Who are you of importance? "Sir," answered the other, "I demand it in capacity of a brother, jealous of his own honor, as well as his sister's reputation. And if your intentions are honorable, you will not refuse it." If you want to, guys, as you're reading something like this, take little notes to keep track of who's saying what. So this is obviously Godfrey Gauntlet guy, whatever his name, the GG guy, okay? And he's saying, "Oh, I'm asking as a brother to know what you're doing with my sister." "Sir," said Peregrine, "I am not at present disposed to appeal to your opinion for the rectitude of my intentions. And I think you assume a little too much importance in pretending to judge my conduct." "Sir," replied the soldier, so this is Gauntlet, "I pretend to judge the conduct of every man who interferes with my concerns, and even to chastise him if I think he amiss." "Chastise!" cried the youth, so this is going to be Peregrine, with indignation in his looks. "Sure you dare not to apply that term to me?" "You are mistaken," said Godfrey. "I dare do anything that becomes the character of a gentleman." So here Godfrey is saying, "Hey, I am a gentleman." And the guy who's dating his girlfriend, his sister, is a younger man. Okay. Let's roll this up a little bit. Let's get that far out of the way. "Gentleman, God knows," replied the other, looking contemptuously at his equipage, which was none of the most superb, "a very pretty gentleman, truly." Equipage is his horse in the carriage. And so he's saying, "Oh, you call yourself a gentleman?" And so he's looking contemptuously at his horse and his carriage, which was not great. So none of the most superb. He's, "Oh, a very pretty gentleman, truly." So he's being sarcastic here. Yeah, that is your gentleman, and that's the horse and carriage you got. It's like dissing somebody for their wheels. Dude, you're driving a Chevy Nova. What is wrong with you? The soldier's wrath was inflamed by this ironical repetition. So even Godfrey Gauntlet, who's our soldier, is noticing the irony in his statement. "The contempt of which his conscience poverty made him feel." Okay, so he is very conscious of his poorness. Okay, and you do not question somebody's status, especially if they're a gentleman and a soldier, or their money. That's very rude. Okay, so let me just start at the beginning of this paragraph again. The soldier's wrath was inflamed by this ironical repetition, the contempt of which his conscious poverty made him feel. And he called his antagonistic, presumptuous boy insolent upstart, and with other epithets, which Perry retorted with great bitterness. So Perry is Peregrine Pickle, and he has been called a presumptuous boy and an insolent upstart. So, oh, how dare you say such things to me? A formal challenge having passed between them, they alighted at the first inn and walked into the next field in order to decide their quarrel by sword. They're going to duel this out. So notice how quickly this has happened. Okay, so we had this longer discussion between them, and now suddenly they're dueling with swords. Okay, so notice one of the things they were talking about was pace, how fast information is coming at us, or how slow it's coming at us. So the author took a while at the very first part to kind of establish how proper and prim these guys are, and then very quickly, with just a couple of lines, they're now in a field ready to hack it out. Okay, so here we got the pace goes very quickly instead. All right, so just kind of keep that in mind. All right, okay, here we go. Having pitched upon the spot, helped to pull off each other's boots, and laid aside their coats and waistcoats would be a vest, Mr. Gauntlet told his opponent that he himself was looked upon in the army as an expert swordsman, and that if Mr. Pickle had not made that science his particular study, they should be more equal footing using pistols. Peregrine was too much incensed to thank him for his plain dealing, and too confident of his own skill to relish the other's proposal, which he accordingly rejected. Then, drawing his sword, he observed that were he to treat Mr. Gauntlet according to his deserts, he would order his man to punish his audacity with a horsewhip. Okay, so what's happening here is we're having their battle, but we're not having the dialogue anymore. Instead of being shown it, we're being told it. Okay, so look what's happened here, down here at the bottom. They picked a spot, and then they pull each other's boots off. So these are the long riding boots that go up to your knee, and you kind of do need help. So these guys are ready to kill each other, but first we're going to pull each other's boots off because that's the gentlemanly thing to do. To me, it's just so absurd. I love it. And then they take off their coats and their waistcoats because you don't want to get those bloodied up. Clothing is expensive. We don't want little slashes and blood in them. Okay. And so then they began to, let's see, they're going to fight. But first, the soldier is kind enough to say, I'm an expert swordsman. Okay. If you're not, do you want to do pistols? That will give you a better advantage. But Pickle is just so incensed. How dare you assume that I don't know how to do anything with a sword? Okay. Okay. So line 45 here. Exasperated at this expression, which he considered an indelible affront, he made no reply. So the he being, hold on, let's back up here. So then drawing his sword, he observed. So this is Peregrine Pickle. If he were to treat Mr. Gauntlet according to his deserts, he would order his man to punish the audacity with a horsewhip. So I should tell my servant to whip you instead. So exasperated at this expression, which he considered, the he now is Mr. Gauntlet, the brother, the soldier, okay, which he considered an indelible affront, he made no reply, but attacked his adversary with equal ferocity and address. The youth parried first and second thrust, but received the third in the outside of his sword arm. Let's see, so here we've got the action going on. Though the wound was superficial, he was transported with rage at the sight of his own blood, and returned the assault with such fury and precipitation that Gauntlet, loath to take advantage of his unguarded heat, stood upon the defensive. Okay, so what this means is, so Peregrine is like, oh, you connect me, and he's like coming at him to hack at him, and Godfrey is the more experienced soldier, okay, and he doesn't want to take advantage of his unguarded heat. He's realizing that Peregrine Pickle is not just kind of like all nutso and crazy, and he doesn't want to, a gentleman would not say, oh man, this is going to be easy, stab, okay, which you could do. So instead, he takes the defensive. He steps back because his sister does love this guy, and it'd look bad if he kills him, okay? So in the second lunge, Peregrine's weapon entered into a kind of network in the shell of Godfrey's sword. So I'm thinking it's like the little hilt, probably some fancy filigree work on the hilt. Okay, so in the second lunge, Peregrine's weapon entered into kind of a network in the shell of Godfrey's sword. The blade snapped in two and left him at the mercy of the soldier. So him here is Peregrine. So he's all mad, rah, and then he breaks his sword, okay? And so Godfrey's like, dude, I knew that. I could see this coming. So left him at the mercy of the soldier, who, far from making an insolent use of the victory he had gained, put up his Toledo with great deliberation. So Toledo's steel is the sword. So the best swords were made in Toledo, Spain, where you got the best steel. So they're just called a Toledo. Okay.
I've been to Toledo, and they still talk about that. Like, they, like, bring you to, like, where they build the swords and everything. It's, like, a huge thing.
Oh, that's so cool. Did you buy one?
No.
Thanks a lot, Sophie, for nothing. No, that's cool. That is still very much their tradition. Okay. So look at what Godfrey is doing here. So Peregrine's sword has snapped in two. He's left at the mercy of the soldier. The soldier, who, far from making an insolent use of the victory he gained, he's not going to taunt the kid. Dude, you're so stupid. You just broke your sword. He put up his sword with great deliberation. Look, I'm putting away my sword, boy. Like a man who had been used to that kind of rencounters, and observed that such a blade as Peregrine's was not to be trusted with a man's life. Then advising the owner to treat a gentleman in distress with more respect in the future, he slipped on his boots and with sullen dignity of demeanor stalked back to the inn. Okay, so here is his sister's boyfriend is all breaks the sword. Okay, and he is the soldier, could have easily run him through, but he's like, puts away his sword and he said, next time, be more careful, kid. You don't know what you're up against. Okay, so I hope this kind of explains this a bit more for you. Let's take a look again at our prompt. Okay, so they have uncontrolled emotions, but they're trying to abide by the social norms. So you could skim through this again and go, what are the emotions that they're dealing with? So we get a lot of their emotions in the dialogue. Okay, so that they mention, look at the dialogue, look at the narrative pace and the tone. So we get a lot of emotions based on their dialogue and then how they're behaving. Okay, so we've got Peregrine and you could just kind of highlight, you could, underline or highlight, like Peregrine is too incensed and he is furious, and let's see, he gets his superficial wound, but he's transported with rage at the sight of his own blood. There's a lot of emotion going on here for Peregrine. Same with Mr. Gauntlet. Okay, he's exasperated. He's trying to be fair to this kid, and the kid's not even noticing. Okay, so what I recommend you do with these kind of passages is you read the prompt, read through the passage to get a feel for it, and then read it a second time and go, all right, what am I supposed to be pulling out here? Where can I find these specific things? Okay, so when you go to this kind of an essay, you're going to be spending 10-15 minutes reading, annotating, making notes, going, what am I looking for? What am I trying to find? It's not like a quick read and then half an hour of writing, which I've been kind of giving you. Now I want you to be spending more time yourself reading and looking and then writing shorter time. So once you have gone through this and you've figured out everything that you want to pull out and write, it is actually pretty fast to write. So you need to do all this reading and pre-writing, and then you'll be able to write it a little more quickly. Okay. So we've got a lot in the dialogue where we can feel how they're trying to, chastise, you're mistaken, you're a gentleman, okay? Using these kinds of words. I'm just thinking, think of some of the bubs in the parking lot trying not to pick a fight when they're supposed to and using this language. I love it. I picture weird things. So, and then the narrative pace. Okay, we haven't talked a lot about this in class. We were going to, but we didn't get to. We're going to talk about it quickly now. So narrative pace is how quickly things happen in a story. So the pace in here with the dialogue, the first paragraph, is slow, isn't it? We just got these two men, and they're barbing at each other, and then the pace picks up almost frantically, where we've got this battle and this fight. Why? What does that do? Anybody have ideas? What does that change of pace do?
Gives you feel like, oh, what's happening? So you feel the emotions more, I guess.
Yeah. You feel, because it seems to escalate very quickly. Suddenly we're at a sword fight. So as quickly as they escalate, so does the narrative pace escalate. So talking forever is not getting us anywhere. Let's quickly go to a battle because these guys want to just punch it out, right? I mean, you know enough guys that they'll be arguing, and all they have to do is throw a few fists and connect, and then it's better. They're fine. That's just what they need to do. So that's what's happening here, is they go very quickly to this fight, and then we see the fight very quickly, and the author doesn't slow it down. Okay, he does have it going rather quickly because this is how everything is happening. So you're experiencing it in roughly the same time as you're reading it. Okay, let's take a look at tone. How does tone fit into all of this? If you wanted to talk about tone, what would you say the tone of this piece is?
I feel like it's amusing because they keep going off at each other, but they still have to keep it cordial. So like, because of like the norms, that's pretty funny.
Exactly, exactly. So it is kind of funny because you could just see them being so angry, but no, we have to be formal and use this language, and it's just they're at battle not only with themselves and with each other, but with the society too. Okay, so it feels a little bit amusing. Well, so as you're mentioning, there's another tone that you hinted at. What else is going on in there? There's definitely some tension in there, correct? So tension is, tone is tension. Okay, so that is you could say that there's a lot of tension in here. Does it sound like they actually really want to hurt each other though? It doesn't. It doesn't seem like they really want to kill each other or damage each other or something. They don't want to do that. Okay. Um, so we got, you know, let's see, you parried. And so it sounds more like Gauntlet is trying harder to control himself than Peregrine is. Okay. And Gauntlet is definitely acting as a gentleman. He may, you know, oh yes, you're a gentleman. Yeah, you don't have a lot of money or anything. But something here that he's showing is that it's not your money and your status that indicates that you're a gentleman. It's your behavior. And a gentleman would not take advantage of a crazy young man who's super upset. Okay. So that's one of the things that he's showing there is that, oh, okay, this is how a gentleman really is. Okay. So there are a lot of different ways that you could go when you write about this. Okay. You could talk about, now if you're like, well, I don't know if I really want to look at any of those. I'd rather look at their action and what their behavior is. You could do that too. Okay. Just because they give you these three things doesn't mean you have to follow them. It says you may wish to consider. The reason they say this is that they're concerned that maybe you won't be able to find anything or you won't know what to write about. So they're giving you a gentle little, you know, if you want to, you could write about these three things. But as I said with the readers, they don't have to. And then there's some who are saying that the readers may not give you any of these literary technique lists this time. Okay. So if there isn't any, think about, as you read, if there is nothing that they give you, as you read the piece, go, where did my interest get piqued? Where did I go, oh, I get this, or I understand this? And focus in on those lines and those paragraphs where you went, oh, I like that part, or I understood that part. Why did I understand that? What were they doing that I understood? Oh, this is a really good description. You know, like, for example, I said, I really love this scene where they're pulling each other's boots off, okay, and taking off their coats. To me, that's just silly and ridiculous. That image stuck in my head. Okay, why did that stick in my head? Oh, well, because they're acting like gentlemen when they really want to beat each other up. Okay, that says something about the conflict of the relationship. Why are they bothering to pull off their boots? Well, they don't want their clothes to get all mucked up. Even though they're about to bloody each other, no, they're not actually going to. So look at, when you read these things, look at what sections actually draw your attention to go, oh, how did that work? Why are they doing that? And you can focus on those parts and kind of build your writing from there. Okay. What questions you have about this? I've just taken up the whole time, haven't I? Tell me your questions. No questions? Okay. So what I want you to do for tomorrow for your assignment is write this essay. Okay. Write this essay and what are the emotions? What is the propriety that's going on there? You can look at those three things. You may not have to. You don't have to. Okay. So write this up for tomorrow. We are going to have another Zoom meeting tomorrow. We're going to talk to you about Great Gatsby and what else is going on. Since we lost today, I lost some plans what I was going to do. So I'm kind of restructuring things, just going to make things easier. Okay. So you will have this essay due for tomorrow. We're going to have a Zoom meeting tomorrow, and we'll talk some more about the Gatsby assignment. Okay. Questions, suggestions, ideas, anything? You guys are like so easy. Awesome. Okay. I do have some paperback copies of The Great Gatsby. I have only 24 though. And they are currently at the office at the school. So if you want a physical copy, it's kind of like a first come, first serve.
Are we gonna be going through like page numbers or like chapters or like?
I'm just going to let
I
you
have a
read
copy.
it. Read it at your own pace whenever you want to, starting whenever you want to. Okay. I am not going to require logs or questions answered or anything. All I'm going to do for this, and you're going to read it, and then you're going to do the project, and I've put that link there, and I will discuss it more later. But when you read it and how and what pace, it's entirely up to you.
Okay.
So if you've already got a copy, yeah, go ahead. It doesn't matter. It's fine. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
I still have the Hamlet book. Do you want me, like, how do you want me to return that?
Whenever you get to the office, just drop that off.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you've got your Huck Finn when you go to the office, just drop that off. I imagine we may be collecting books at the beginning of next school year. You know, I could see it happening to going to that point, going, oh yeah, look around your room and see what books you had from last year and bring them back.
Okay.
So I'm not really worried about that right now. Okay. Okay. Well, cool. Our time is up, guys. If you have any questions, oops, sorry. I was trying to stop the recording. Stop recording.